So pranayama is like really one of the best tools for developing this kind of discernment and self-awareness that we were just talking about, because it requires us to be still, and it requires us to refine our intelligence and awareness to a very subtle level. So as you sit in front of your bolster, recline, even just lying down on the bolster, we don't do it in a habitual way. We don't do it in a conditioned way, but we do it such that the chest is lifted, such that the muscles of the back are pulling in toward the spine, such that the dorsal spine is moving from back to front, such that we are centered on the bolster, centered on the mat. That's why we always go into this pose with our legs bent, because it gives us more access to our trunk, our spine, the placement of the hips. And then once we're assured that we're centered on the bolster, and the bolster is hitting the right place on the trunk, abdomen angled but not hard, bottom ribs receding, then we can straighten our legs. So all of this is very mindful. And so the purpose of that mindfulness is to become more and more aware of the subtle layers of consciousness. So with your feet together, legs together, extend through the heels. And then let the feet fan out. Let the little toes release downward, and then extend the arms alongside the trunk. Hands about mat width, arms angling down, elbows, outer elbows descending. All these things that we pay attention to, these are all things that we are not trained to pay attention to in our daily lives. What is being asked of you in an Iyengar yoga class, in a pranayama class, is very countercultural. Culture depends on our unconscious conformity to certain expectations and norms. And a lot of it is really beautiful and wonderful, but there's some cultural habits that are actually really destructive, extremely harmful, that we need to change, that we need to take responsibility to change. And it starts with taking responsibility within ourselves to notice it and change. So ableism and racism are the cultural habits, patterns, and norms that I'm thinking about today that we can change, beginning with our self-awareness, self-consciousness in a practice like pranayama. So now just settle into the rhythm of the breath. With the arms and legs completely relaxed. With the attention turned inward down into the chest region. With the throat soft, chin descending. Settle into the rhythm of the breath. So even just this sharp awareness of the way you are breathing is super helpful. Because paying attention to it now, or heavier, you'll notice when there are times when your blood pressure starts to rise, your heart rate starts to increase. And when you notice it, then you can ask yourself, is this warranted? Is this necessary? Or is this based on an unconscious bias? And can I slow down my breath? The moment you slow down your breath, your heart rate also slows blood pressure slows down. Your blood pressure lowers. If you try to aggressively slow down your breath, then that will increase your heart rate. That will raise your blood pressure because it'll be forced. But if you gently slow breath, then the parasympathetic gets stimulated, the sympathetic. The breath is a tremendous tool for awakening that consciousness and starting to shape consciousness. Pranayama is the practice of shaping. Asana, of course, as well. And in pranayama, you are in an asana, so it's not like it's separate from asana. It requires asana. So here you're in shavasana, but it's a mindful shavasana. You're not informed, flopped on the floor. It's a conscious, deliberate in diaphragm. Bring your attention. Gita says the diaphragm is an organ of friendliness. The bottom ribs are friend. The bottom ribs move with us, easily move with the breath. They accommodate the breath the same way a friend accommodates us. The diaphragm is our friend, always there for us. The Sanskrit word is Maitri. The diaphragm is an organ of Maitri. It also says that the diaphragm is an organ of Bhava. Bhava means devotion. So the diaphragm is an organ of friendliness and devotion, mutual devotion. So consider what that means for you, how that manifests in you as you observe the breath, as you observe the movement of the diaphragm. It moves down as you inhale, it moves up as you exhale. It all happens automatically. You don't have to think about it. Thank God. But you can be with it and you can enhance the diaphragm. So when you bring your attention to the diaphragm, you can start to work consciously with it. So as the moves down, no abdomen expands. That's normal because the organs get pushed down as the diaphragm lowers. And then as you exhale, notice how the abdomen recedes. That's normal because as the diaphragm pulls up, then the organs back to their prior location as the lung is empty. I'm just going to switch to a different modem. So just bear with me for a moment. And that should give us a better connection. So as you observe the movement of the diaphragm, the movement of the abdomen. Now bring your awareness, expand your awareness to the movement of the rib cage. And like I said earlier, Gita describes the rib cage as our friend, the bottom ribs as our friend, the diaphragm as our friend. She says the bottom ribs are friendly and they move easily. But can you expand that awareness and that movement to the middle ribs now? The breast region, the bottom breast region. Can you lift, expand, and spread that bottom breast region? That aligns more or less with the middle ribs. And then continue to expand to the upper chest region, upper ribs, to the armpit chest, to the top chest on the inhales. And on the exhales, everything gently goes back to the original shape and size. And take 3 more breaths. Take 3 more breaths with this whole rib cage awareness, starting with the bottom ribs, but expanding to the middle ribs and the upper ribs. Expanding 3-dimensionally on the inhales, and then coming back to the original shape and size on the exhales. Finish this cycle. And then return to your resting breath. Just soft, passive resting breath. And then fold your hands in, bending your legs. Roll to your right side. And then sit up. Okay, so now sitting on your bolster, have a couple of blankets nearby. All right, and then crossing your legs, support underneath the knees. And then have your lap leg. So we'll do some cycles of Ujjayi. Actually, we'll do some cycles of Viloma, and then we'll go back to the digital pranayama that we started to work with a few weeks ago. So now the advantage to being upright, of course, is that you can really access the back body. You can feel the back body more readily, and you can also get work on getting more lift and alertness in the spine. So it does take more energy to be seated. Press your hands down into your bolster in order to get maximum height through the spine. Bring an alertness to the spine by drawing the skin of the back from the sides to the center, especially in between the shoulder blades. Pull the dorsal vertebrae from back to front so that you can feel I mentioned the friendliness of the diaphragm, the friendliness of the bottom rib, so that you can feel that access to the diaphragm. When the chest is caved, then we don't really have access to that bottom rib region. But if you really pull up through the spine and draw the dorsal vertebrae from back to front and knit the skin from the sides to the center, then you can start to feel it. Keep the lumbar broad, the buttocks moving down. Now maintaining that lift, bring the hands to the lap one by one, palms up. Have the hands as wide as the shoulders. So they might be a little bit wider than your thighs. And then descend the outer elbows. Stay tall. And from that tallness, bow your head down into Jalandhara Bandha. So the challenge is to maintain the lift when you bring your head down. And then another challenge is to keep your head down while you maintain that lift. The head tends to come up for all of us. So keep the head down. Now from here, just take a couple of slow, soft inhales, slow, soft exhales as preparation. And then I'll talk you through, we're going to do some Abhyantara Viloma cycles, Viloma inhales. Finish this exhale, a little deeper, a little bit more complete. And then inhale just into the abdominal region. Feel the abdomen expand to inhale and pause. And then inhale into the bottom rib region and pause. And then inhale into the entire rib cage, all the way up to the top. Pause. And then slow, soft exhale. Deep breath or two. Then exhale completely. Exhale a little bit deeper than usual. That signals to your nervous system that something different is going to happen. And then inhale, feel the abdomen expand to receive the inhale as the diaphragm starts to move down. Pause. Inhale into the bottom rib region. That happens easily, that friendliness, Maitri Bhavana. Pause. And then all the way, feeling the entire rib cage. Pause, and then slow, soft exhale. Take a resting breath or two if you need it, otherwise go into the next cycle. Do 3 more cycles on your own. It's very difficult to breathe according to somebody else's instructions, somebody else's pace. So 3 more cycles of Abhyantara Viloma. Keep the thumb soft. Keep the outer elbows descending. Draw up from the inner elbow to the armpit. Observe that friendliness, Maitri Bhavana of the diaphragmatic region. And then carry over that Maitri Bhavana into the entire rib cage. It comes easily in the lower ribs. It comes less easily in the middle and upper ribs. So draw that Maitri Bhavana of the lower ribs, the diaphragm region, into the middle and upper ribs. As you inhale, use the pause to cultivate that feeling of Maitri Bhavana, that feeling of friendliness and spiritual devotion. When you finish your cycles, then return to normal breathing. And you can bring your head back up when you're done with your eyes closed. And just sit quietly. Let's change the cross of our legs. we've done the digital pranayama with both hands. So let's continue to do that with both hands. You know, this is not traditional, but the Iyagars have been doing it quite a lot in the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years. I think recognizing that even though it's not classical to do it with your left hand, that it's actually really beneficial in a lot of ways. So I have balled up fist and then release the fourth and fifth finger. The fourth and fifth finger get free, and then they curve in toward the thumb. And remember, it's the tips of the fingers and not the pads of the fingers. It's the tips of the fingers that we're working to sensitize. So, you know, this sensitization of the fingertips, it's really about sensitization of the consciousness. So now I'll just explain the pattern to you before we get started. So you'll take a slow, soft inhale, and then bring the right hand up and softly exhale through partially closed nostrils. And then bring the hand down. And then take a normal breath. Then a slow, soft inhale, then the left hand will come up, partially close both nostrils as you slowly exhale. Then the hand will come down. Normal breath in between, and then slow, soft inhale, right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand. Let's do 3 cycles, okay? 3 cycles, right, left, right, left, right, left. All right? So I'll keep my glasses on so I can watch you. You might need to sort of reinforce your pranayama mudra if it got loose. So make sure you have nice snug pranayama mudra. And then have the back of the hand on the blanket, bowing the head down. Slow, soft inhale, slow, soft exhale to prepare. And then take a slow, soft inhale. At the top of the inhale, bring your right hand up. Slide your fingers into place just above the flare of the nostrils. And then with partially closed nostrils, exhale. At the end of the exhale, bring the hand down. Take a normal breath. Don't forget to knit the skin of the back from sides to center, dorsal vertebrae in. Then take a slow, soft inhale. Then the left hand will come up. Slide the fingers into place just above the flare of the nostril. Partially close both nostrils, and then slowly exhale. Normal inhale. Normal inhale. 2 more cycles, your own pace. Right, left, right, left. Keep the head centered. You see that the hand is coming to the face, not the face coming to the hand. When the hand is up, it's more difficult to feel the lift of the rib cage. But see how much you can maintain the lift of the rib cage as you slowly exhale. Close the nostrils enough so that the air seeps out. You don't have to exert as much effort to slow down the breath because the hands are doing it for you. And then how much you close the nostrils is up to you. And also you may notice that one nostril needs to be adjusted a little bit more than the other. Like there might be one nostril that you slightly open and one nostril that you close a little bit more. After you finish your 3 cycles, return to normal breathing. When you're finished, you can bring your head up with your eyes closed. And hopefully when you come back to the unmediated breath, the nostrils feel very open. One thing that happens in pranayama mudra is that closing of the nostrils, it builds up nitric oxide in the nasal region, and that is a bronchodilator. So it should feel very clear. Okay, and then release your legs. And you can get ready to lie down and rest. Yeah, so one of the beautiful things about the pranayama mudra is that nitric oxide buildup. When we have a stuffy nose, then we don't have enough nitric oxide and carbon dioxide in the nasal passages. So this partially closing, narrowing the nasal passages actually helps to increase the nitric oxide level. And that should result in easier, more effortless, lighter breathing. So here, just enjoy the effect. Let the body come to a state of complete rest. Even in a state of complete rest, we're still aware. So the level of awareness in Shavasana is not as acute as the level of awareness, say, in a pranayama that you were engaged in for the last half hour, but it's still aware. It's still aware of how you're placed on your mat, how your limbs are arranged. Still aware of the rhythm and pace of the breath, the quality of the breath. And hopefully all of that helps us to also be more aware of our emotional state. From a yogic point of view, there's no difference between the physical, the physiological, the emotional, mental, spiritual. It's all tied together. It's all one fabric. So as you become more aware of your breath, as you become more aware of your limbs, you become more aware of your emotional state, your mental state. So hopefully there's a feeling of ease. You can cultivate a feeling of ease as you rest here. I'm going to officially end the meeting, but you can stay a few minutes longer, and hope you have a wonderful day. Take good care.